Perfect. So those of you who haven't seen this yet, this is going to be a little bit different from the run that I did of Earthbound for NASA 2016. We're going to be doing the Earthbound Ancient Cave, which is one of the oldest randomizers of all time. It's the second oldest, been around since 2012. And the developer Chaz actually just pushed an update a couple of days ago, so there's been some cosmetic changes, like this. These are not the vanilla window colors. And I do have some names in mind for all the characters. You might also notice that some custom sprite work has been done. There's a large number of custom sprites that have been added to the randomizer, and hopefully you'll get to see a lot of them. We do have to name something Jeff, though. If you want to know the story behind it, go watch the Earthbound run from RPG Limit Break 2017. And our favorite food is Boston Pizza. Shoutouts to Boston Pizza. And our favorite thing, being speedrunners, is to go fast. And that should be it. So everybody's named. So if we're ready, we can start. We can get started in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so one of the differences about the Ancient Cave is all of the entrances are shuffled into a 9-floor maze, each of which are guarded by a shining spot. In this particular run, we're going to be doing what's called no skips. Whenever you find an entrance that is guarded by an NPC, that will usually take you to a different floor. So what's actually randomized in the Ancient Cave? What's actually randomized in the Ancient Cave are a number of different things. Backgrounds are randomized, character stats are randomized, dialogue is randomized. All the treasure chest contents are randomized. There is a progression that it follows. The farther you get into the Ancient Cave, the better the gear gets, but also the more challenging the enemies get. So on the early floors of the Ancient Cave, we're going to be looking for just some weapons and gear, and just gear in general to get started. It's not necessary. I'll just point out whenever we go to a new floor. The biggest change that affects combat is the character's psi powers are randomized. So different characters may have different powers. So it is also possible that some powers may not exist at all. You may also notice we have instant text. That saves quite a bit of time. The enemy sprites are... all the enemies have different palettes from the game. All the NPC sprites are different. Whenever we find a vendor, their contents will be different. And there are also a bunch of really nice quality of life improvements. You may be noticing that I'm running as though I'm under the effects of a skip sandwich. This is another quality of life improvement as well. If you select an item from your inventory, there's an entrance up here. If you select an item from your inventory and then use it, it will equip that item if possible. The teddy bear that Paula starts with is very important for soaking up damage in the early game before you gain enough levels to be able to take on enemies. So I do want to give a shout out to Chaz. He is the developer for this randomizer. That's a lot of gang members. This could be a problem depending on what psi powers we have. Okay, we should be fine. Come on, Teddy Bear, do your job. So a Teddy Bear has a 75% chance to intercept an attack. And it's very important to make that last as long as possible on the first couple of floors. So as far as other quality of life improvements, the R button has new functionality in the randomizer. When you press the R button, it will cause you to drop the last item that you have acquired. So it's nice for keeping your inventory clean. Since inventory space is very, very limited in Earthbound, each character can only carry 14 items, and your equipment counts towards that. Food items generally aren't too useful except in the early game. And this is an example of a loop. Floors can actually have loops within themselves. And if you're not paying attention, it's very easy to get disoriented. This is actually a new feature that is in the most recent version of the randomizer. We're on version 39 right now. Another thing that we're looking out for early is a scripted battle. Scripted battles can occur on... They're specific to the map, not to the floor. And each floor has certain ranges of enemies that can show up, so that there is a progression as you gain levels. Oh, this one's the vendor. What'd I pick up again? That works. So hopefully we can find a vendor that'll let us fill out the rest of our equipment. Because the contents of vendors are shuffled, we don't know what we're going to find at vendors until we check them. And ammunition for Jeff may be in short supply towards the end of the run, which can make bosses interesting. So generally, if I find a scripted encounter, such as a sentry robot, I'll use Jeff's big bottle rocket on it. Just to be able to gain a lot of levels for the early game. That is not the way I wanted to go. And now that we have weaponry on everybody, we should be able to just auto-battle most encounters on this floor. The enemies on this floor actually aren't too difficult. I want to say that the protoplasms and the gang members are the strongest enemies you'll run into. Also, full heals. Each of the 8 sanctuary spots, as well as a couple of other locations within Earthbound, serve as full heals. There is 1 guaranteed per floor. And that's very important because in order to examine a shining spot to trigger a boss fight, Ness must be in the party. So that's every entrance on this side. And we have reached the first shining spot area. There's some good on defensive equipment for probably the rest of this floor and the next floor. I'm kind of glad I still have Jeff's big bottle rocket because there are certain encounters that can be ugly. Do I have fire on anybody? I do. Good. PK Fire is really good at cleaning up large groups of enemies. The only other powers that can do that are Starstorm, which, since Starstorm in the vanilla game is tied to an event, it works a little bit differently in the Ancient Cave. In the Ancient Cave, there is an item called an Auto Starmaster, which will teach AKC Starstorm. The first one you find will teach him Starstorm Alpha, the second one will teach him Starstorm Omega. And you typically don't run into the Auto Starmaster item until roughly the 4th floor on. 4th or 5th floor, usually. So once we get to the 3rd floor, there's going to be a couple items we need to keep an eye on. But right now, since we have weapons for most characters and armor for most characters, checking gift boxes isn't as much of a priority. I won't go too terribly far out of my way to check them, but ones like this I will. And we have reached the end of the 1st floor. And our first boss is... Oh, this is actually kind of nasty for a first boss. Every boss after the first one... please. Nope. Oh, this could get fun. So now, Keto is unfortunately going to fall behind on experience until I can find a hospital. There is randomization in the battle backgrounds as well. So that's the end of the 1st floor. We're now on the 2nd floor. There will be no more progression. There will be no more progression before that entrance. Oh, convenient. We have the hospital, and I have just enough money to get him back up. One thing of note is defeating enemies in this game by itself does not give you money. In order to actually access your money, you need to find an ATM, and so far we have not found a single ATM. Oh, lovely, Tucson. Tucson is one of the areas that you really don't want to see because it's the largest single hub in the game. There are 19 entrances in Tucson. And only one of them is going to have the way forward. There are a lot of vendors I can check here as well. Vendors typically become more useful. Oh, hey, an ATM. Let's see what we have here. Nothing I'm really interested in there. Also, I should explain the way encounters work in the game. There aren't your traditional random encounters. All of the enemies are going to be visible on the map. And depending on which way you approach them, You'll either get a red, a black, or a green swirl. A red swirl is when an enemy attacks you from behind and they'll get a free turn. If you attack an enemy from behind, you'll get a green swirl and you'll get an extra turn. Wow, this is a vendor. That's actually a fantastic weapon. That'll keep us alive for a couple floors. And then a black swirl is just a normal encounter. Additionally, if you far outclass an enemy in this game, the game won't even make you fight it. So now that we're on the second floor, the loot's gonna get a little bit better. Oh, the department. The Tucson department store doesn't have any entrances, but it does have a lot of vendors. So I'm gonna check these vendors to see if there's anything interesting here. I don't have a lot of money right now, but there are certainly some cheap items that could still be useful. Excuse you, vendor. I would like to speak to you, please. Oh, I'll need to go upstairs to sell things, because not every vendor is a saleable vendor. Roughly half of the vendors are saleable, meaning that you can actually do transactions both ways rather than just one. About this vendor, do you have anything? Minor League Bat's a pretty good weapon for Ness, so I'm gonna pick that up and call it a day as far as the department store goes. The T-Rex's bat would have been very nice to have. It's a very powerful weapon for the first half of the Ancient Cave. But it does tend to get outclassed quickly once you get to the back half around floor 6 or 7. So I feel that trip was worth the time. That's the free heal for the floor, but I don't really need it. But if I ever do need healing, I can go back there. Also, all the spawn tiles are randomized as well, and all of the enemies are much more difficult to despawn than they would be in the vanilla game, to really encourage you to fight encounters rather than try to despawn them. Tucson has lots and lots of vendors. I think I am going to check some of these vendors for bottle rockets. Because the only thing that's really useful about Jeff in the Ancient Cave is his ability to use explosives. They do lots and lots of damage, and they're easily the fastest way to deal with bosses, both in the vanilla game and in the randomizer. Not having any luck finding any yet, though. Dr. Ananuts' lab has a free heal as well. Ooh, nice. Big bottle rockets. Those will deal with most bosses up until the 6th floor. Oh, and Foresight is on this floor too. Lovely, this floor is huge. So it may take us a while depending on where this boss is tucked away. How much money do I have in the bank? Not very much. Generally, when you find an ATM, you want to withdraw most of your money because you will not know where an ATM is. And Scaraba's on this floor too? Wow. Man, I'm really hoping we find the the way to the boss soon, because this could be a huge mess to search. Now, key items that you find are not helpful in no skips. Such as the backstage pass, which gets you past the NPC in the Chaos Theater. Those are used to jump between floors, which is not allowed for this category. Most of the races that the Earthbound community does do allow skips, because there is a big drawback to skipping floors, in that you won't have as much power or gear as you would for the later floors. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is a seed so far. This is a pretty powerful boss for the second floor, so I think I'm gonna pop the big bottle rocket. Rip teddy bear. Perfect. Alright. I didn't want to use the bottle rocket that early. Oh my goodness, that experience. We're gonna gain so many levels. That experience off of that enemy is almost as high as it can be. So we should be good on levels for at least 2 more floors, if not 3. So now we've reached the 3rd floor of the Ancient Cave. So we don't have to deal with Tucson again. There are still several large hubs in the pool, such as Threed. But a lot of the large ones are knocked out already. So the 3rd floor is also where we can start to find a Franklin badge. If you find the cabin that Paula is held in the vanilla game, you can obtain a Franklin badge there. And there are also up to 2 Franklin badges in the item pool. So I've also have not yet explained the way the item pool works. There's a list of items that the game pulls from, and 70% of that is used for the chests in the game. So 30% of it gets thrown out. There can be anywhere. There are 2. Who do I want to give this to, actually? Probably Stump. So because of the 30% drop-off from the item pool, there may not be Franklin badges in the pool. There may not be Franklin badges in the seed at all. That's a nice piece of gear for her. So that'll greatly increase her survivability. So because I gained all of those levels against the boss, most of the enemies on this floor should flee me, so I won't have to deal with random encounters. That's also the primary reason why, if you find a scripted encounter early, it can be very beneficial. And there's that T-Rex's bat that I wanted before. That's a huge offense upgrade. And there's that Franklin badge I was talking about. You want to have at least 1 Franklin badge by the end of the game for the Gygas fight. Generally speaking, if you can find a good pendant and a Franklin badge, the final boss fight is usually not an issue. And this loop's fun. Because this is the room that we started out in. And that's one of the most important skills with the new version of the randomizer, is recognizing loops. Now, one note about Onett in particular is all the barricades are up. So the south half, the north half by where Ness's house is, and the main town, those can be on separate floors of the cave. And we're at the boss. Everybody's good up there. And these are nasty bosses we're rolling. Well, this one in particular throws explosives at you, but you get a 3-turn warning. And the Robopump just happened to roll really low HP. So now we're on floor 4. These floors are going by really quickly. Wait, what? Are we there already? Wow. Okay. One entrance. Sure. What is going on with the seed? Oh, this boss might be a bit of an issue because it hits pretty hard, and this particular enemy also has very high speed, and Kito's bottle rocket damage is based on his speed stat. So you want to find items that increase the speed stat to be able to have greater accuracy on bottle rockets. So we are on the 5th floor already. Need to clean out my inventory next time I find a vendor. Still don't have a great way to deal with multiple rows of enemies. And the enemies are also starting to get quite a bit more challenging. So this is the point where Auto Star Masters can start showing up. You can also find elemental pendants starting on this floor, but they're much more common after you reach floor 7. Now, the way the randomizer shuffles stats is based on whatever floor enemies can show up in. So while Foppies in the vanilla game and Fobbies have they're a gold mine for experience in the vanilla game, the way the stat shuffle works, the Foppies and Fobbies tend to get very buffed. So far, the Psi powers have been pretty friendly, other than that Psi shield is nowhere to be found, from what I've seen. And if we have no Psi shield, that could make the final fight really interesting. And by interesting, I meant item and Psi power configuration dependent. And the randomization for stats does also tend to make this enemy quite a bit less powerful in terms of defense. The Armored Frog in the vanilla game is practically impervious to physical attacks at the point in the game you reach it. And if you do want to play this yourself, we have a website. The website is earthbound.app. In order to play, you're going to need a ROM of the vanilla game. And there are a number of options that you can set from within the application itself to customize your own game. Whose side points are low? Now, when you find a stat increasing item, it's important to be able to know who to give that to. Speed capsules you usually want to give to the person that can use bottle rockets. Did I pick up a refreshing herb? I did not. But I do have healing beta, which will remove poison. This mini-boss, mini-barf, is an example of a scripted battle. That doesn't work on him. Most of the properties of enemies, as far as elemental and status protection goes, are the same as in the vanilla game. But there is a small chance that certain other properties can be randomized as well, such as enemies that explode when they die. That has a small chance of being randomized, and that is a absolutely fantastic item to find this early. I don't like four-side department store enemies. This could get ugly. One nice thing about auto battle in Earthbound is it's smart in that if somebody's below a certain percentage of their maximum HP or has a status ailment, instead of just automatically choosing to attack, the game can cure those ailments during auto battle, which makes it a lot more useful. But you do need to be careful with it because it will prioritize removing status ailments over healing, and when you auto battle heal, it will use your most powerful healing no matter how much HP is missing. So it can be a real drain on your psychic points. We have Mole Cave. Mole Cave is, I want to say, a 5 or 6 entrance hub. But all of the entrances are spread out, and there tend to be a very large number of spawn tiles in here. This place is terrifying in the vanilla game, too. Although most runners are pretty quick to explore large areas. Oh, there's the Auto Star Master I was talking about earlier. Most players, when they first encounter Mole Cave, are pretty quick to turn around. And Mole Cave is one of those areas that you explore if you feel you're behind in the race. Now, these guitars are terrifying. You really don't want to run into these in vanilla or randomizer because they have an attack that can put your entire party to sleep. A little bit late for the Casey Bat, so I'm going to throw it away. What the Casey Bat is, it's by raw damage, it is the most powerful weapon Ness can equip, but it also has a base accuracy of 25%. So the only time the Casey Bat is useful in randomizer is very early on when you have enemies that you can get preemptives on, because how the game determines you auto win battles is it compares your damage output to the enemy's damage output, and if on average you have enough damage output to defeat all of the enemies in one turn, the game will not make you fight the encounter and will even give you the experience and drop chances. That was a misclick. The menus in this game are very difficult to get used to because of how stiff they are. But so far, nothing doing in Mole Cave. Okay, that's the encounter I wanted out of those two. You want nothing to do with Noosemen. Noosemen are absolutely terrifying. There is an option to randomize enemy names as well, but some of the combinations can be a little suggestive, and that's something that I would rather not risk happening in a marathon. This is not the worst thing to... Well, maybe it is, because we already have 2 good pieces of arm gear. We already have an auto Star Master. I think I'm just going to pass on these gift boxes, because they do take a significant amount of time to check. If this was floor 7 or later, then I would absolutely consider searching these. I need to find a full heal soon, because very low psychic point counts right now. Also, as far as auto battle goes, it will only automatically use the psi powers of that characters naturally have in the vanilla game. So if Paula is your only character with life up, then she will not use it in auto battle, because she does not have that in the vanilla game. One thing I've also failed to touch on is the exit mouse. One change to the starting inventory in the Ancient Cave is you start with an exit mouse, and the exit mouse has changed functionality. In the vanilla game, the exit mouse is used to exit a dungeon. In the Ancient Cave, you can use an exit mouse to either mark your current location or consume the exit mouse and go to the last marked location. If you find a large hub, it can be very useful to save a lot of backtracking, which is something I probably should have done before entering the Mole Cave. So, based on that, I think I'm just going to mark my location here. Since there are only 2 more entrances here. And if there's nothing here, that's testament to why Mole Cave is a terrible place to explore. And those high-end pieces of equipment coming in very handy. Not him. So there's this entrance and then one more. Are these are probably just desert enemies. Yes, they are. Because it's a little early to be running into Scraba enemies, and that is a 3rd high-end piece of gear for Keto, which is going to give him a much-needed defensive edge. Now, you might be wondering why AKC doesn't have any equipment. There are actually only 4 pieces of equipment in the game that can give him a positive to his stats. And all of them are typically found very late. And that is why I'm very happy to have Starstorm. I need a heal bad. Additionally, surprise attacks are very important because if you get a surprise attack, you have a 100% chance to run on the first turn. So you'll typically use that to avoid a lot of combat. The only exception is if the encounter is flagged as unrunnable. There are a few standard enemies that are also fixed encounters. Oh, there's the boss. For instance, the slimy little pile is a fixed encounter in the Belch Basin vanilla. So all formations that include that enemy are unrunnable. I think I have enough DPS that I could get there. Good. So that floor was a little longer than the rest of them. And we didn't even find that many large hubs. I need a heal bad. Hopefully we find one soon. I'll take a hotel, I'll take a sanctuary spot. Hospital is not going to help us though. Still also have not found a couple of other key pieces of equipment. For instance, we have yet to find a crystal charm. We have yet to find a rabbit's foot. Those are the main 2 items that increase speed. And having a high speed stat on Keto is going to be very important for pretty much the rest of the cave. And now we're starting to run into desert enemies from Straba. So really about floor 6 or 7 is where the random mobs start to get very scary. Racer is a key item. And there's Onet. This is the 2nd largest hub in the game. I believe... chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are 18 entrances in Onet. And there's our heal. Sweet. Now note that this is not the guaranteed full heal on this floor because hotels don't revive. For purposes of the randomizer, a full heal is considered a full recovery and revival. There's guaranteed to be one of those per floor. As far as other methods of healing go, there is no guarantee that any of those exist on the floor. And it looks like since we found Summers, I am going to get to set a player name, and I can find out what the rest of the bosses are. So the hint men will tell you what bosses are left. And Starman Deluxe for the 8th boss means this is not a doggo seed. This is an inside joke in the Earthbound community. it originates from one of the RPG limit breaks, either 16 or 17. Yeah, sorry, it's not a doggo seed. Oh, hey, that's convenient. I was done exploring the port town anyway, and the last house takes me all the way to the back side, all the way to the other side of Summers. Cool. Works for me. Oh, sweet. Couple life noodles. That's really nice. Is just every big hub for the rest of the seed on this floor? That has me really concerned about levels later on. And it looks like everybody rolled really nice IQ stats, which is amazing. My only concern is that Keto rolled very, very low HP. But I can refill his ammunition now. I am going to want multi-bottle rockets at some point. If I don't find multi-bottle rockets, probably going to need super bombs. But I am going to fill up Jeff's inventory with big bottle rockets and then sell a bunch of stuff I don't need. Menus are hard in this game, if I didn't mention that. And even though these items here don't only sell for pennies, I just want to get them out of my inventory. So now I'm going to pick up a few super bombs just in case I don't find another vendor with them. Because super bombs are one of those things that are just always useful. Oh wait, no, the bus station's not useless. There's an ATM here, so I can actually access my money. Please. Took me a while to find one too. So I shouldn't need to fill everybody's inventory with super bombs. I'm just going to fill the rest of Pooh's inventory with them. Or AKCs. Character names are hard, apparently. Additionally, the amount of time that it takes to load a character's inventory depends on the number of items that are in it. So whenever you're buying a lot of items, you want to typically buy the middle character's items first. That's a bad encounter to auto-fight because these guys hit really hard. Case in point. I also haven't really touched on the way the rolling hit point meter works. Earthbound's health system is kind of unique in that a character's hit points, whenever a character takes damage in this game, the damage is applied to the character's hit points gradually, so that if you end the battle, prior to the character's meter actually rolling down to 0, they don't die. And that's very important for survivability against some of the later enemies that do lots and lots and lots of damage. Oh, cool. This is also a full heal. In the vanilla game, this is where Pooh leaves your party to learn Starstorm. But in the randomizer, it just serves as a full heal. And that is the magic fry pan for sale, which I will take because as far as raw power goes, that is the best weapon for Stump. And we're already at the boss for this floor. And this will be Guardian General, which shouldn't be too difficult. I can just point explosives at him. Explosives and Starstorm will get the job done. Cool. I haven't seen Psy Shield yet, so the final fight could get really interesting. Now that we're on floor 7, this is where really good equipment starts to show up. Things like Night Pendant, Sea Pendant, Best in Slot Gear, things like the Gutsy Bat can start showing up. But also, this is where the random enemies start to get very, very dangerous. And this is also where the gear that we picked up on the earlier floors really, really starts to get outclassed. So if you don't have everything that you need for the Gygas fight, that's actually a downgrade for him. But the Pixie's Bracelet sells for, I want to say, $750, so I'm going to hold on to it for now. Oh, nice gut save by AKC. Now what a gut save is, that's something from vanilla. Your gut stat determines a number of things in the game. One of them is your probability to survive a mortal blow. If I remember correctly, whenever you take damage that would otherwise be a mortal damage, you have a probability to instead be reduced to 1 HP. And that probability is equal to the character's gut stat divided by 512. I think I need to try to escape this fight. This is one of the reasons why speed increasing items are really important to have, because your speed stat determines your probability of actually escaping combat. Please, I would like to escape this combat. Thank you. Oh, right, they both have colds. Now, I do have a couple life noodles to bring Keto back, but I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to try to hold out to find a hospital or the free healing point on this particular floor. Yikes. I'm probably just going to have to use resources at this point. I mean, Starstorm will take care of this group, but it's also very expensive. It's 24 psychic points. And because of the way the game places spawn tiles, you'll occasionally see enemies that spawn out of bounds. That can happen sometimes in the vanilla game as, oh, this is a fantastic room to find this late. Absolutely fantastic room to find at this point. You want to find this room usually at least at floor 7. Don't need that. There's my second Franklin badge. So I found both the Franklin badges. Magic Ant Bat is a fantastic upgrade. And another rocket. Most of those items were really good. And I must say that the World Health Organization probably would not approve of the Earthbound randomizer just because of the large amounts of food we throw away. But the large pizza is one of the few food items in the game that is actually useful because it is a group heal. And the only other group heal in the game is Life Up Omega. And Life Up Omega is typically learned at such a late level that you will never ever see it in a randomizer. I don't want anything to do with those electrified skeletons because they have flash beta, which is no fun. I have no flash protection at this point, and flash beta has it's an area of effect psychic attack that has a 10% chance to insta kill. So it can be really problematic. I would really like to find a hospital soon. Oh hey, Happy Village. This also has the free shop in it, and unfortunately the free shop doesn't have anything useful. The reason why it's called the free shop is because you don't actually have to pay for anything in that shop. So if you find it early and it has something like a holy fry pan, what you can do is you can just steal around 10-15 of those, and then the next time you find another vendor, just sell them all, and you'll be set on money for the rest of the seed. And we are at the boss already. Can anybody use this? Oh, I guess Keto could. That'll be a nice increase in defense, and I think I am going to pop this couple life noodles. Everybody good on health. What about psi powers? I do need to be concerned about this because we also have nobody has psi shield. This could make the last two bosses really fun. Thunder and Storm could also be a problem as well. What do I have not found Rabbit's Foot yet. The Franklin badges don't need to actually be equipped, they just need to be in your inventory. So I think I'm just going to try to fire as much DPS as possible into this guy. I'm going to want to save some amount of rockets for the next boss fight, though. Want to save those if possible, because Thunder and Storm typically has a lot of HP. In the vanilla game, they have just over 2,000 HP, but I think they rolled a little bit under that. Although one nice thing about having bosses set up like this is these late game bosses do tend to give high amounts of experience, and you'll have a lot more levels than you normally would. I've had seeds where certain bosses, like I've seen bosses as weak as Trillionage Sprout, which is the third Sanctuary boss, be boss number 8. And if that happens, you'll have almost no experience for Gygas. So because I'm so late in the cave and I still haven't found any pendants, I'm actually going to take some of these scripted encounters that are, technically speaking, out of my way, because I really need to find Sea Pendant, Star Pendants soon. That I'm actually going to toss because I already have one. The Holy Fry Pan, while it's the most powerful weapon, the most powerful weapon for Stump, I don't actually consider that to be best in slot. I consider best in slot to be Magic Fry Pan, which, although it has 30 less attack power, it increases the gut stat by 100. There's the other Auto Star Master. So now AKC has Starstorm Omega, which will help out it'll help out quite a bit against Starman Deluxe if I can find either a shield killer or get lucky to snipe his psychic power shield away with thunder. Does anybody have paralysis? Or hypnosis? No hypnosis, no paralysis. This could get fun. And this is also where the enemies start to have a lot more defense than usual. And also, another thing that your gut stat determines is your critical hit rate. Those enemies are pretty slow, so they're not too hard to escape from usually. I'm gonna hang on to that just in case I find like a multi-bottle rocket vendor or something. Probably should save AKC's psi points. So the way Thunder works is it has a chance to hit something equal to... Oh, there's a C pendant. The first one should always go on Stump, because it's most important for a Stump to have the protection. So now that I have a C pendant and a Franklin badge, Stump is immune to everything that Gygus can do. At least after Phase 1. And multi-bottle rockets. So once we find... I'll actually explain it after I'm done with this menu. Anything else I can get rid of? Oh, this diamond band. Oh, of course it's the cheap one. So multi-bottle rockets are the single most powerful thing in the game, and they pretty much break the game if you can find any piece of equipment that raises speed. So bottle rockets have a chance to hit based on speed, and they do damage they do 90 to 150 damage if they hit. A big bottle rocket can hit up to 5 times. A multi-bottle rocket can hit up to 20 times. So if your speed is high enough that it's a guaranteed hit on enemies, that's a minimum of 1,800 damage, which is far more than anything else can do in the game. And the reason why I like that this show can show up in the randomizer is because you never see this show in the vanilla game. Also, I see a Chaz in chat. I see a Chaz in chat. He is the developer for the Earthbound Ancient Cave, so if you have any questions, chat, ask him and he'll be able to answer you. You'll be able to get your answers straight from the developer. So the final time I get on this seed really depends on my plan of attack for Gygus, because Gygas Phase 1 is looking pretty shaky right now. I do have 3 characters with life up, which is what I'm going to end up doing, is probably just having Keto chuck explosives at Pokey while everybody else heals. But I won't be able to heal everybody, and one of the big issues I have with the setup is that Keto has the lowest HP out of everybody in my party. So I'm actually gonna, I'm thinking about fighting more enemies than I normally would at this point to be able to get more HP. Wait, no, I just got turned around. And that's one really important skill about Ancient Cave, is you have to be able to keep everything straight on that floor. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. There's actually only 4 entrances here. This encounter could get ugly, depending. Can you please stop calling for reinforcements? I would appreciate that, game. Please. I mean, yes, it is a lot of experience, but those kinds of fights can also be terrifying when the entire screen fills up with, and when the entire screen fills up with those guys. I do have a Magicant Bat, which I believe is the 3rd best weapon for Rai. Yeah, it is third best, because the only other weapons that are better are Legendary Bat and Gutsy Bat. Yes, Magicant enemies can start showing up on floor 8, including Carefree Bombs, which, due to the instant text and the rolling hit point meter, are a lot less threatening than they are in the vanilla game. Wow, only 134 HP? That's really low. I'm just gonna start fighting stuff. Just because this could wind up being a massive problem down the road. Sword of Kings. Oh, his inventory is full. It's not that big of an offensive boost, but it's the only weapon that AKC can equip that increases his offensive power. He can equip any piece of equipment that anybody can equip, but it actually decreases his defensive power. The only reason why you would want to put a pendant on him would be for elemental and status protection.
One thing I really like is you're just walking through like a casual road on it while really
Magic Fry Pan! That's best in slot for Stump. So now that I have the Magic Fry Pan, pay attention to Stump in combat and watch how much she crits, because she's going to start critting a lot. That's also very welcome. Magic Butterfly I don't need.
Yeah, you're way too leveled for Magic Butterfly.
Okay, Earth Pendant is a good backup. It's not the best pendant, but it's a good pendant. I think I'm actually going to pass this Great Charm over to Keto, because this will raise speed by 10. Oh, that's not actually an item. I'm blind. Hello? Stump, where are your crits?
It's a chance.
Legendary bat, that is second best. That is second best for Rai. I'll take that. Especially now that we're running into desert enemies such as high-class UFOs. Which typically have a lot of defense.
That pencil though.
And I think Delant...
Uh,
NPC trolling, please.
there we go. I love NPCs.
Is this a loop? No, this isn't a loop.
It looks like one, but is it?
It might be. It might still be. Yeah, this is looping.
Wow, we found
This
the
is
loop.
this is looping.
That's great.
This is definitely looping. Looping is new to version 39. This is wow, this is actually wow, I found my way back to the beginning of the floor.
Wow.
And that's something you really have to pay attention to.
You need to understand what's your shortcuts and where you can go. You start forgetting. It becomes very hard to understand. You get lost very easily.
And there's the... Alright, well, we found Starman Deluxe. I should be... Actually, that shouldn't be too bad now because I have multi-bottle rockets. But I am going to preemptively heal... Or I should actually have... Everybody but AKC preemptively heal themselves. And that's why. See, if I had a if I had access to Psy Shield, I would put that up right away. Okay, that's enough. I wasn't sure if it was going to be enough because one, the randomized HP, and two, in the vanilla game with just a Great Charm, that would be a damage range. So we are now on the 9th floor. The 9th floor. This is the last floor. On this floor, we will be looking for Gygus. And I do apologize to the event staff that this is so far underestimate. This is actually on pace to be the fastest seed I've ever completed. I actually think that entrance is vanilla.
Wow. That's
A lot of fire springs on floor 9. Talisman coin is a nice upgrade. So this is where the loot starts to get really good. Oh, we haven't seen any of Winters yet, so there's still the top of Winters that could possibly be...
There's an arcade.
We have plenty of firepower for... Well, maybe not, because we still want to find a Rabbit's Foot. We haven't found a Rabbit's Foot yet, which will actually make our multi-bottle rockets fairly reliable against Pokey. So I think if I don't find... oh, hey, an ATM. I am absolutely... Those are my favorite sprite randomizations for ATMs, when there's just somebody lying on the ground in this like 5 foot by 5 foot or 10 foot by 10 foot room.
Let's just keep that in mind that we just robbed literally the price of a car from Phillips.
So now we're going to start running into Starman-based enemies, and hopefully not Cave to the Past enemies, but we can actually run into Cave to the Past enemies now, and they can be really terrifying, because even with a Rabbit's Foot, they can be very hard to run from. And this is why late-game enemies are not fun. But as far as experience goes, we're mostly good. I'm just very concerned about Keto's HP. And I also have not found a Horn of Life vendor yet. And this is the last big hub in the game. This is Threed. Threed is, I believe, the third largest hub. There are 13 entrances here. And this is the full heal for the floor, which I will take because I was a little low on Psychic after the Starman Deluxe fight.
Oh, you have all 8 now, don't you?
No, I did not find all 8 Sanctuary spots, but it doesn't matter because progression is determined by how many Shining spots. So you don't actually need to get all 8 melodies.
What happens if you get all?
Nothing in particular happens if you acquire all 8 melodies. Is this our Horn of Life vendor? It's a secret herb vendor, though. I'll take it. So I'm going to pick up a few of these. And there's the Horn of Life vendor. So I'll take a couple of these, too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, there's just a dude sleeping on the floor in the corner.
Apparently I needed more, and apparently the drugstore is just a trip to the other side of the town. So that's why it sells drugs. Got it.
Wow.
Got it, game.
Oh, hey, we're back to 7
And we have already reached Gygus. Wow. I apologize to NASA staff. I mean, this is still a very scary Gygus 1 phase, so this might take several tries, but if this goes first try, I apologize to NASA staff about providing such a high conservative estimate, because things can go horribly, horribly wrong. I do want to check a couple of things, though. Make sure everybody's good on gear. These big bottle rockets are not helpful anymore, so I'm gonna just get rid of them and then move some of AKC's super bombs over to help out with Phase 1, because using Starstorm in Gygus Phase 1 is a very, very bad idea. That should be enough. Alright. I'm not really comfortable with Gygus like this, but it's gonna have to do. If I can pull this off first try, this will be by far the fastest seed I've ever completed. Alright. How many people have brain shock? I think it might be just one. So let's... Now, hopefully these don't just completely whiff. Okay, and Alpha, that's good. So Gygus has a 50% chance to do Rockin' Alpha or a 50% chance to do Rockin' Beta. Beta is almost... Beta, depending on your stats, can make everybody in big trouble. Oh wow, I don't even have the speed to make the bottle rockets work. I'm on super bomb strats. This could be really fun. Yeah, I'm just straight up on super bomb strats. Not keto, please. Thank you. Also, Pokey Means Business is the best song in the game, period. Everybody's good there. So I'll continue to have Ness. He has nothing. I'm just going to continue to have them both contribute on DPS. Having paralysis proc on the first try as well as brain shock is nice. Aw, no special text from Pokey. Pokey has some really neat messages that he can give you as well.
Why is this background trippy? I like it.
Like this. This is from Mother 3, I believe. Alright, so now we're free to unload with Freeze Omega, Starstorm, all sorts of stuff. So this should end really fast. Now, Gygus Phase 2 and the final phase of Gygus only has 4 attacks. The first attack is a Freeze Alpha on everybody, the second attack is Thunder Beta, the third is Flash Omega, and the fourth is an Empty Turn. So now at this point, we just need to pray 9 times, and that will be everything we need to do. So with a Franklin Badge and a C Pendant, the rest of the run is basically a formality. And just to clarify, for those of you not overly familiar with the Earthbound randomizer, seeds usually take a little under 2 hours for no skips. So this is a ridiculously fast time. And also with the Gygus fight, it's actually better once you're past phase 2 for everybody but Paula to be dead, so that there are less inputs you have to or less commands you have to input. And less menu fumbles too. So ideally what will happen is Flash Omega will happen and it will kill everybody except Stump. Because Stump is the only person I need alive right now. And also all of the cutscenes have been removed from the prayers. This is another quality of life improvement. Three prayers to go. So now all we have left is the Darkness Prayer and the final prayer. Alright, this is the 8th prayer, so get ready on time. Time is going to be when the prayer fires. And time. I'm so sorry for giving such a high conservative estimate. Thank you. That is by the fastest time that I've completed a seed before this was an hour 36. So this is this was just a really quick seed in general. I am very curious to see what the length of this cave was, because it had to be pretty short. I do want to give some shout-outs to some figures in the Earthbound community. I want to give some shout-outs to Andy, Andy Perfect. I want to give some shout-outs to Ori, who is the winner of the first Earthbound Ancient Cave tournament. I want to give a shout-out to Phalix, LL Temple, and Red Balloon Man for all their support in the community. You guys deserve it. And of course, shout-outs to Chaz. But I will never give you the Triforce. At least we got one. At least we got one message out of Pokey. So at this point, I do want to see the stats and show the randomizer credits as well, because the credits have been altered. This seed actually wound up being really easy for the bosses we got, because a lot of the bosses were on the tougher end of what is possible on each floor. It just so happened that there were some very, very quick floors, especially with that 5th floor. If I had gone the other way, I would have full cleared the entire floor instead of just checking the entrance that I did and immediately finding the way forward. So I'm just really curious to see how long this cave is. Usually, ancient caves range from 115 to 140 entrances in length.
So that's their final form.
87 entrances. I've never seen a cave that short. That's nuts. No wonder this was so quick. Oh, you know what I did forget to do, though? I did forget to free the chicken. Because the randomizer does keep track of how many chickens you've freed.
It's a lot of damage you did. 0 chickens.
8 L button, no problem here. That's less than 10. That's good.
You didn't free any chickens.
But again, if you do want to play this yourself, you can go to the website earthbound.app. A lot of the options are customizable, so you can play this however you want. There are also a couple of other modes that were present in the original Earthbound Shuffler, such as the key item shuffle.
There's the developers.
Yep, Stochastic. Big shout outs to him for making this possible. And with that, I think we're good to go. That was the Earthbound Ancient Cave. Thank you for having me.